Hello everyone. Today's topic is the difference between Eastern and Western philosophy. Um, Today is October 17, 2025. There are a lot of things that I wanted to say. This is just some recording for myself. Whether I don't know whether I'm gonna publish it or not. I noticed one difference between Western philosophy and Eastern philosophy, especially the Indian one. Sometimes what happens is when people are suffering, they question why it's happening, and they may see the point, and instead of thinking about why it is happening, it is like a snake bite theory. Snake bites, you go for the solution. You don't ask the snake why it bit it. You don't wonder and cry about it. Even if you cry, you just cry while you're going to the hospital. Sometimes you don't know how to go to the hospital. It means you have to ask help. That you want to go to the hospital because snake bit you. This is what I call the snake bite theory. People who are born and grow up in a family where they have to be emotionally independent, when they had no choices but to rely on themselves emotionally, they couldn't ask help from anybody because either they were ridiculed, they were called as overdramatic, emotional, making everything bigger than what it is, unnecessarily, creating drama, making small thing bigger, very sensitive, whatever. Means completely cutting their emotional outburst and considering it as unnecessary or unwanted thing. When a child keeps listening to these kind of things, when that rejection comes from a parental figure, somebody, as a parent or even an elder sibling, that child finds a way. It has to be that way. Some way they have to suppress those negative emotions, the feeling of somebody needs to hear these kind of things, kind of a thing. So they starts to find a coping mechanism. Some people um, redirect this energy into I'm getting out of this kind of situation, and they put that in that energy into if they are a child, probably focusing on studies, and I'll get out of this kind of toxicity by educating myself and getting out of this. But if somebody is emotional or somebody is forced to do a lot of labors work at home, like to behave like an adult, to look after other siblings, younger siblings, or to behave like a replacement for a parent themselves in a family, even whether it's a single parent family or a double parent family. If a child is asked directly or indirectly to behave like an adult when they were kids, they force themselves. They have no other choice you know, to retain their childhoodness, and they are forced to behave like an adult. So that emotional growth happens in a very quicker way. They couldn't enjoy their childhood. They also were manipulated or forced, or they were asked, even if they don't feel any burn during those time, internally it affects them without even realizing. It shows up in their life when they are in their adulthood. Sometimes teenagers realize what they're missing. They cannot do this, their friends doing this, their friends doing that. I'll give you a simple example. There was a discussion I saw online where a male complaining that if he had any sisters at home, he didn't have to work at home at all, had to help his mom. And because the discussion was about how in a patriarchal family where no matter what the age is, the female children are forced and manipulated and made to feel like they are the one who has to help their mom in the kitchen, bringing water, cleaning this, doing this. It starts from small chores, cutting vegetables, clean the room, wipe the floor, and help your mom in the kitchen. There is a guest sitting, so bring some water. This kind of servitude. It starts from home for a female child in a patriarchal family usually. And male children usually doesn't go through this unless the family is very healthy, and they probably send the female child and male child both go outside and bring a packet of milk or something like vegetables, and they will tell both children wipe the floor. They will treat this both gender same. If a child grows up in that kind of family, their understanding of what life is, what responsibility is, changes depending on how parents raise them. And lots of time what happens is, even such parents, when the grandparents are visiting, when the relatives are visiting, they behave very differently, because even if they are trying to do the same thing in front of their grandparents, the grandparents, if they have the old mentality, the patriarchal mentality, they'll start to insert these negative emotions in a male child's head, that you're not supposed to do this, you're a man, you're a male, and they start to rebel. Those kind of things can happen in a lot of family. That is why a lot of things changes, even when parents are really want to raise their both kids without giving them any gender roles. It can happen because of the interventions of grandparents, some relatives, neighbors, and even other children mocking them. For example, I'll come to the same point here. This discussion was going on regarding how these female children are made to do these kind of things by making them doing these chores, by like it's like writing their own fate, to molding them into something. And then when they grow up, expecting them to be both like breadwinner and to do the work at home, because they are indoctrined to think that doing household work is their responsibility. It's between man and a woman, whether somebody wants to be the breadwinner, somebody is good with household works and take responsibility of the children. No matter who it is, it should be between them. Nobody has to say in it actually. If a man decides to stay at home, cook and clean and look after the children genuinely without slacking off, why, there is no problem, no? If a woman wants to go out, and it should be that way. But people raise their kids in a different way. Sometimes even when they want to raise their kids in a very positive way, the society poke their noses. In this case, what happens is, in the comment section, there are a lot of men say, proving their point, the same thing, like they are so lucky because they don't have to do anything at home, because their sisters are made, whether it's the sisters are even younger than them, the sisters are made to do a lot of work at home. And these males giving excuse that if somebody guest comes, then they have to go out to bring milk or snacks. They are not sending their sisters. This is because they were made to believe that this is their responsibility and that is their responsibility. This is the problem of the parent. So if a parent decides to do like equally, treat their children equally, and we make both the genders work, both the work, teach everything, money management, how to work at home, because kids, even men, they don't know unless they do that work at home, cook, clean. It looks like a very small thing. Unless somebody actually does it, they will not understand how much laborious that kind of work is. Actually, if you do that every single day monotonously, it seems like a easy thing comparing to somebody going for a construction work and everything. Women also do those kind of things. See, there is no comparison. There is it's not like that. The point is, here every male in this comment section were talking about the same thing, that their sisters do the home, all the work, and something. So this one comment was saying that he was not so lucky because he did not have any sisters. So both of the parents are working, so he has to help his mom in the kitchen at home to clean, to cook certain times, and his friends are mocking him because he's a man, he's doing household work. See, if his friends appreciated him, if the mentality of his friends were like really good, he would have taken it, as something good thing, and he would have been more joyous for the thing that he did. And he's sorry that he's thinking that he's helping his mother. He's still not considering that he's a part of the family. Since everybody is working, he is contributing to his own household. He's not doing a favor to his mother. See, because he thinks he's doing a favor to his mother. He's not talking about his father at all. They're all a family, right? Everybody is doing whatever they can do to maintain their life. So this is why mentality has to change, to not to stick to a child, to particular genders, to think about this is my role, that is my role. Because of that, because everybody is born with certain capacity, of their own, and unless they explore it, how do they know? So this is exactly the psychology of a child depends on, sometimes it's internal. No matter what parents do, they keep their mentality to themselves, and they grow out of it and start exploring life, because that's how they want to do it, which is good for them if they choose it from their heart for the happiness, the reason of happiness. The point of this video is the philosophical understanding of what Western philosophies and Eastern philosophies. I talked about these kind of things because psychologically a child's mentality changes because of the upbringing, the society it lives, the culture, the family, the religion. How actually, even if in a same religion, it's different from a family to family. So when a child feels suffocated while growing up, even if it is in her 20s or even in 30s, if somebody like a Dostoevsky or Camus or Nietzsche, their quotes, it seems like hitting the nail, like exactly how I felt, kind of a feeling. But it is only limited. If somebody understands your suffering, it does gives you some kind of a comfort, some kind of a release from the pain and suffering. Because in a normal day-to-day life, people usually think, may not be the case for every single body, but usually when they are growing up, and if somebody is suffering, and if they are surrounded by people who are also suffering, or is the reason for suffering, and this person doesn't know what to do and doesn't know how to get out of it, it's a normal feeling to think that nobody understands them. So when they find solace in this kind of course from a Western perspective, it clicks, and because it feels like, oh my God, this person who wrote this long time ago, they know how exactly I'm feeling, because they felt the same thing. It feels like somebody understood them finally. They didn't know how to express it in a line or two lines. It seems like a perfect understanding. Oh my God, this is exactly how I felt. Finally, it felt understood. So these people trying to stick to that kind of a psychological or philosophy, I see it as a very lacking, because that is not enough. If somebody is trying to understand you, that is good. But if somebody is trying to give you the solution, that is way better. That is what Eastern philosophy gives. Because Western philosophy is based on human understanding and human emotions and human way of thinking. It's limited to human understanding. It does not go beyond human level at all. Out of every single thing that I came across, it is truthful. It's based on personal experiences. It's based on their experiences through religious, social, culture, financial understanding, how this society works, how their life is, how their life was, how their family worked, what they experienced. It's like a 100% truthful to the way that they could experience and express through their own words to the whole other generation to understand. But that is very limiting. understanding the suffocation is something different. To give the solution is very different. This is why these Western philosophies lack that thing. It is only from the perspective of a human. They may think from a perspective of religion too, but it is not spiritual. They see truth and they speak the truth. That is it, from a perspective of human. But when it comes to Eastern philosophy, especially Indian one, this philosophy has both human understanding and spiritual understanding, an understanding from a higher perspective from the divine world. Even, it's like understanding human suffering and also giving answers through a higher understanding. That is like giving you the solution. That is why the idea of karma, idea of meditation, idea of restricting yourself through fasting and thoughts, intentions, and lot of things, practices like music. Music uplifts your energy. It discontinues that negativity within you if you use that rightful words, because of the free will, because on earth, and because our intention works on earth. If we use that energy to turn into something positive, then we can turn that life around. For example, if you see today, there are a lot of theories going around, subconscious, how you can change your subconscious and every single thing, when you get up in the morning and when you go to the bed in the evening, you can rewrite your subconsciousness by actually affirming this and that. But if you see some cultural, I would say religious, but it is still at certain point it's very distorted, because of lot of time has passed and people twisted it based on their own understanding. So I wouldn't say it is very clean. But imagine if a person who works all day and is very tired, his world is very different, and he comes home and their world is very different, and suddenly the whole family coming together doing this bhajanas and every single thing, suddenly he has a reason to change his mood without anybody coming to him and having the psychological conversation. What did you went in your life that you sit down and do these kind of things? Without doing that, suddenly his mind splits in a second because of that change in the whole circumstances. Family coming together, sitting in front of a god and chanting mantras or doing these bhajans, it stops them from focusing on negativity. And by lyrics, usually the lyrics usually are good lyrics, positive ones, happy ones, so they actually rewrite that kind of thing. And after that they usually eat. This is how used to be before all this social media came to their head. Because you work, you go home, you do the bhajans, and you eat and you sleep. So even people who are working at home, experiencing all these negative emotions, they have a chance to stop giving it importance and break that stride and focus on something very positive, very devotional. It increases the faith in something positive. Whether people, if they cannot believe or have trust in themselves, at least they should be believing in some god, isn't it? Because idea that they will be fulfilling what is need to be done. It is faith in themselves or faith in the divine. It's same one and all, more or less. That is why these kind of practices gives them a chance to break away from the negativity that they themselves experience during the day, and suddenly shifts the mood in a very positive way. Suddenly they are in a good mood. At least they are not in a bad mood anymore. And when they are in a pleasant mood and then they eat food, it is like they are manifesting that positivity into their life by doing that prayer, by doing that bhajans and then eating. Water has a memory, so does the food. then they internalize that manifestation, and then in that happy mode, at least they are not in that kind of upset or anxious mode, and they go to sleep that way. By doing that, they're actually stopping themselves from seeping that negativity get into their subconscious level. That is how people from old life, like literally old people, used to do this kind of a thing. Nowadays people's life has changed, and then even in older time, when they get up in the morning, first thing they used to do is looking at your own hands and saying thank you to the divine world, whether it's chanting mantras or something like that. Basically, what they are trying to do is they are trying to show gratitude the moment they woke up in the morning. And today, in a Western world, they have the same system, like get up in the morning, show gratitude to the universe. But in an Indian system, when at least in few decades ago, at least this is how it used to be, and there are certain families who still follow this. You get up, you say thank you to the gods or deities, and you start your day with something very positive, and you take a bath, means you purify yourself. While you're taking a bath, you do say something positive, and then you pray, and then you eat the food. This is how they used to rewrite their everyday, having a positive mindset regarding life without even realizing what they were doing. Now we have a chance to know it theoretically and making it happen through Western philosophy. That is, philosophy is very different. But what I'm trying to say is, understanding philosophy is different, and internalizing that is different. Sometimes, even when we don't know what we are doing, good things can happen to us without realizing what we are doing. That is the best way of doing. That is what I see in a Eastern philosophical ways. Because a person may not know why they are suffering. They may say when they are suffering, but they may not know. The point is, sometimes it's okay to not to know why they are suffering. Solution is more important. When the solution arrives, they may realize why they were suffering because they see the solution. For example, if somebody has a simple example, I'll give children. If they are given a chance to eat sweet every single day as a food, their stomach start to hurt. No, they'll wonder why their stomach is hurting. Solution: stop eating the sweet every single meal. Instead of that, eat some food. Then they will realize, after seeing the solution, they will realize, this is the problem before. After seeing the solution, they realize what is the problem was before. The idea of karmic entanglements, idea of self-forgiveness. So before, people used to be very different. They were not used to collect money and store it. They used to be kind more to people, irrespective, whoever comes to the house, asking water, giving the food. And if somebody asks for food, they used to never reject that before. It's because like one consciousness, the idea of one consciousness. We are all a big family. So in one way or another, people used to be, they are still very kind. It's a common factor around the world, irrespective of the culture and religion. I sense that is still existing in a smaller areas all around the world still. If you ask for water, if you ask for some kind of help, if you ask for food, they will give you definitely, because it's just how it is. If you go to a city, it might change, because you cannot do that, and life is different in a city, and there are a lot of people who try to take benefit of these kind of things if they start to do these kind of things as well. So these kind of a system were there always in this world as a way to keep people away from greed, away from ego. Say thank you to the God. The mentality of surrendering to God. There is some anything issue comes, and suddenly God's willing. The words using as God's will. It's surrendering to the divine, because they know by without even actually knowing what they are doing, they are just taught to do certain things that are actually good for them. That is what Eastern philosophy is about, which is what I noticed a lot of things. And the idea of karma, one might say, they may say that they were suffering, they don't know why. But if they understand that there is a word as karma, then they realize it, okay, they must have done something in their past. Whether it's true or not, that is different. An understanding they might have done something in their past, that is why they are suffering. It gives them immense reason to release that burden from their heart. Okay, I don't know what I did in the past life or something. Maybe I did something. That is why this is happening. So to accept that, it becomes easier for them, which does not exist in a Western philosophy, because even religiously speaking, they do not have that kind of a concept. So Eastern philosophy, psychology even, is very different, because it talks about surrendering to the divine, not just chant their name and praise them or serve them. It all comes with the distortions that comes with the time. People don't even realize what they're doing sometimes, and even religious figures speak about a lot of wrongful things because they think they are doing the right thing, and it's not so. So it's always better, but this is always better to seek the answer directly. That is what I want to say. This is the one difference that I see from Western perspective and Eastern perspective. This idea of karmic connections, idea of forgiveness, forgive everybody kind of a thing. And even in Christianity, they say, forgive everybody unconditionally. The idea of that, it is also true. It seems like, for me, from sometimes, I don't know exactly, every single religion in depth. But from what I have experienced in this life with the memory and ability that I have, it seems like the truth is inserted in every religion in some way. And if you break out of from that ideology of my religion is the best, and you see that you need to stick to what is truth is, and you see some truth in some other religion or some other things, and you're ready to adopt that, that's good for us. At the end of the day, we don't know, what make us, being born in certain religion. There might be a lot of wrong theories going around the world. It's better to be the seeker, instead of having that, I'm the great, I'm the great. It's just that accepting what I am. This is all I can do. This is what I am. That is the best way of existing. And not to think about others too much. And Eastern philosophy helps a lot to let go of past hurt, misery, heartache, or anything that is bothering us. Why it happened, why it is happening. It's because of some kind of thing probably we did in the past. That is why it happened in the past. So let's move on. And there are a lot of things I want to point out, which I actually recorded as a voice note for me. A few months ago, suddenly I remembered, few weeks ago. There are other points that I'm not remembering exactly today. But this is how it is. This is just a video that I'm recording as my own thing for me. This is why I see this Eastern philosophy. It gives you an understanding that this suffering is happening. Yes, now I remember. This Eastern philosophy, Eastern psychology gives you an understanding of karmic connections, karmic effects, that this world is illusion. Suffering is happening so you can wake up and remember who you are, so you wouldn't have to suffer anymore, and focus on your own life and choose from your heart, those kind of things. It gives you a clear understanding of that kind of a thing. It's a solution actually, basically. Basically it pushes you towards ascension. That is what I wanted to say. I think that's good enough reason to choose, because no matter how many times I see these quotes from these Western philosophers, it seems like a bang on reality for them. Yes, it is true. They see the truth, they speak the truth. It applies to many people even today, irrespective of geographical situations, religion, gender. It is true to everybody who is suffering in the same way, one way or another. But that is not how it is. That is not how it is. When you see from a higher perspective, it looks completely different. Yes, you are suffering, and this is a solution. That is way better. That is what I can see in Eastern philosophy. It always says, no, go for the solution. That is what I wanted to say. That's all.